You have a very funny Dave Schultz story, do you not?
Which one?
So yeah, well, you probably have a few. You probably know some ins and outs. But so there's one story I know you told me on our mission trip. Actually, you might have told me this back in Branson. But so Dave was an incoming freshman when you graduated, correct?
That's right. I had just graduated. I was one of the graduate assistants the next year, and Dave, my first year as a graduate assistant, came to Oklahoma State.
Yeah. And you had to do an alumni match, is that correct?
Well, actually, when Dave first got there, we wrestled a lot together, starting, on September 1st. After about 2 months of wrestling with Dave every day, we have what's called the orange and black match. Mm-hmm. So the coach divided up the team, the two best guys in each weight class, into two teams that we wrestle each other. And that year, Dave didn't have a worthy challenger. There was nobody that could come close to him. So the coach wanted me to wrestle Dave, even though, no more eligibility. He wanted me to wrestle Dave. He knew that, this incoming freshman, probably one of the most highly recruited guys, high school wrestlers ever, wrestling against the defending national champ, that was going to draw a crowd. So I wasn't real interested in wrestling Dave. Dave was 2 weight classes bigger than me. And I've got an unusual style of wrestling. So when he first got there, I could use my moves on him, stuff he'd never seen before.
Right.
But after 2 months of going at it and him stopping me, and I mean, he was like a professor of wrestling. He was a real student of wrestling. He'd stop you and say, "Hey, what'd you just do?" And I'd show it to him, and he'd go, "Well, how could you defend that?" And well, I'd show him that too. So anyway, after really, it was 2.5 months of wrestling with Dave. I didn't have any more secrets. He was bigger and stronger than me, and but coach wanted me to wrestle him, so that's what I did.
And how did that go?
Oh, you want me to tell the rest of the story?
Yeah, finish the story. You can't stop.
Can't stop there.
You can't stop with the conversation you had.
At Oklahoma State, if you added up, NCAA wrestling started in 1928, and I got there in 1973. Oklahoma State had won over 50% of the team championships during that span.
It's crazy.
And think about it, 90 individual titles, NCAA championship titles. So anyway, they were used to winners and winning. And if you were a winner, they liked you. If you didn't win, they didn't like you as much. I remember my freshman year, there were 2 guys who had lost all 5 matches in a road trip up north. We went to Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. These guys had lost all 5 matches. When they came back home, in our, it was the athletic dorm, Iba Hall. We had a parking lot there. Both of their front windshields were broken, like with a baseball bat. On both of their windows was a note that said, "We don't like losers. Don't lose anymore."
Wow.
Well, thankfully, my fans, they loved me. I lost 2 matches as a freshman, but in the next 3 years, I never lost a match in Gallagher Hall.
Oh, wow.
So when they announced the announcer said my name as I went out on the mat, I always got a standing ovation. And that night when wrestling Dave, I got a standing ovation, like always. So I'm wrestling Dave, and he gets a takedown. And already, there's some folks cheering for Dave. And as the match goes on, Dave gets a couple more points. And by the second period, the fans are solidly behind Dave. In the third period, at some point, I get a hold I go in on a single, I get a hold of Dave's leg, and I'm pulling in so hard to take him down that I broke my own rib.
Oh. So
I don't call a timeout. The referee stops the match. He sees I'm injured. And now, there are people in the crowd that are whistling and booing, saying he's faking it, make him get out there and wrestle. Well, there were guys who grabbed a knee whenever they got tired. But in 4 years of wrestling in front of that crowd, I never did that once. For me, it was only forward. So I got up, I finished the match. Dave won 7-2. And anyway, the crowd went crazy. I'd never heard that much noise in Gallagher Hall. And even my coach had Dave up on his shoulder, parading him around the match before we even shook hands to, officially finish the match. So anyway, I learned from that. I thought the crowd loved me. And I realized they love the way I wrestle. They love when I score points for the team. They love to be the fan of a champion. But personally, they didn't really care about me that much. Mm-hmm. And they'd found a new hero. And, Dave could wrestle now for 4 years. He could score a lot of team points and win a lot of championships, for the fans.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't want to denigrate the fans at Oklahoma State. I am really thankful I had the opportunity to wrestle there. I'm thankful for what happened that night. Even I realized from that I had been wrestling for my own glory. And although I was raised in a Christian home and believed in God and loved Jesus my whole life, I had put wrestling first in my life. And I was looking for, championships. I was looking for respect from the crowd. And I realized, that pursuing those things in the end were really an empty pursuit. Mm-hmm. So that's really was a turning point in my life that made me realize my relationship with God was more important than anything else.
Right.